The Workplace Violence Research Institute claims that two different definitions actually exist for workplace violence, for the terminology workplace violence. And they claim that there's a media definition, sort of an informal definition, that anytime a disgruntled customer or disgruntled employee takes a firearm into a place of work and shoots indiscriminately, that's a workplace violence incident. Now, we know there are laws and different acts that have been passed by Congress that actually outline what a true workplace violence or a mass shooting is. I like to stick to the OSHA definition because I think it's relevant, and it also at times reminds us that there is actual legal requirements to having workplace violence programs, prevention programs. So OSHA says that workplace violence is an act or threat of physical violence, harassment, intimidation, or other threatening, disruptive behavior that occurs at the worksite. And it can range, again, from threats and verbal abuse to actual physical assaults and even homicide. And so I like this definition because, as I mentioned earlier, when I'm asked about getting executive buy-in, this serves as a good purpose. Having OSHA sort of guidance and regulations to stand on and to use and leverage is important. Obviously, people safety and having executives in the C-suite want to keep your employment location safe is important, but it never hurts to have some type of legal authority or legal regulation to stick to. According to OSHA, only about 50% of workplace violence incidents are actually reported. Only about 25% of U.S. companies proactively communicate the existence of these type of programs. And I think, in my opinion, in talking to different, again, colleagues and peers across the industry, I think oftentimes we struggle to communicate the existence of the program because we're not sure how employees will react to them. Within the DoD, I've been a part of several insider threat programs. And in those, being a part of those programs, we've even struggled at the communications aspect. We often hear when you use that terminology, insider threat, some cultures, some organizational cultures will sort of bite back, or you'll hear the response from employees that will say, well, do you view me as a threat? Is that why you need an insider threat program? And so I think it's important to highlight that it's very similar to these type of programs. If we are looking to establish a workplace violence prevention program, some employees may say, is that because we have workplace violence incidents, or are we afraid that we're going to have workplace violence issues here? So just something to consider as you either establish or as you look at your own, do an assessment of your own program. The other thing that's an important statistic to highlight, I'm sure that these statistics are supported primarily because of COVID and just the exacerbation of what we've seen in healthcare, is that 75% of incidents occur in a healthcare setting. And that's the highest of all industries. Unfortunately, because of workplace assaults, there's been $121 billion lost annually in the economy. And then workplace violence incidents have caused a loss of about 8% in shareholder value for publicly traded companies.